Who's interviewing?
Julius.
Julius?
You want to what balance?
Yeah, I did already.
Kuiga tunga lokau chicken na kamanya sakta kabo. Kano ajukli. Apex tuinak logi. Ataw sumi ay tamam mi.
Good afternoon. How's it going? Good. Yes. Enjoying your trip so far?
Yeah.
Yeah? What have you learned so far?
How much time do we have?
Uh-huh.
We still can't pronounce IQ.
Really?
Yeah, I keep trying.
Okay, go ahead. Very good. Yes. I know that you've been working on this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Heard this for some time.
Yeah, yeah. I remember well.
Mhm. So, yeah, I'm not here to talk too much. You notice our question period, they left me alone. You guys. So you have the time to ask any questions you may want to ask about that.
Maybe you could start just by telling us a bit about your leadership role in such a government. You've clearly been there since the beginning.
Well, it's a bit different from other jurisdictions. Here in Nunavut, I'm voted on by all the members, and likewise all the ministers are also voted on. So I don't really have the authority to remove the ministers. I do have the authority to designate portfolios, and also chair the meetings and determine the agenda for cabinet meetings. So there's some, and I appoint all the deputy ministers for each of the ministers. So in that way, I have some powers of determining the course of the government and how it's managed. But it's not the same as you see down south in different jurisdictions. And so it's a combination of things.
Kind of a hypothetical. What would happen if you did have a policy conflict with a minister? Unlike down south or in sort of normal Westminster system where the minister basically would be booted out, I think, or serves at the pleasure of the Prime Minister. In your case, what would happen?
Well, that's the joy of working in a consensus government is that you have to try and resolve the problem. And it's politics, so you work with what you have. And I use, I will, in some cases, shuffle cabinet if it's warranted in a given situation, given the issue, and I designate responsibilities for ministers, and I have assumed additional responsibilities for what's warranted. So I use my authority in those ways. Yes.
I guess we've been talking a lot about the differences between consensus decision-making and our oppositional style in Ottawa. But as Premier, do you see yourself more as a facilitator within Cabinet, or taking on more of a leadership role in various portfolios? How do you see the role of the Premier in Cabinet?
It's unique, but I can't assume every responsibility for the government. But on a given issue, if I have strong views towards a given issue, I make those opinions known. And everybody knew what they were getting when they voted for me. I had certain views, and I was planning to implement them. And when there's a differing view, I make that clear to Cabinet that I was voted on by every member of the House. So. how so it'll take some time, but it's looking a lot better. High school graduation will be stopped. I'm sure that given time, we will be able to come fairly close to our target of the flexible population, but it'll take a bit of time. You can't just bring up your numbers. You need to get them trained and qualified and assume the jobs.
I'm wondering where you hope for Nunavut to be, say, in the next 4 or 5 years, and what are you doing as Premier? There's one thing in particular that you really are focusing on. What would that one priority be?
Yes, as I mentioned, education is the highest part of that I feel very strongly about. And I'd like to see our numbers be like the rest of Canada. And I think we can get there. Just a matter of doing a little bit more pushing, but it's getting much better. So I think that is within our range, and it's within our control. That's one where we can do something. So we're trying, and I think we can get to the level. Like our goal is to be like Canadians. Our dream is to be Canadian. We have an unemployment rate at 8%. That'll be great news for me. When I have unemployment rate around 20%, it's just not very helpful. So those statistics also affect other social problems that we have in the country. So we'd like to be able to boast about being Canadians. Yes.
Is there any conflict for you between being Canadian and being Inuit?
Absolutely. Well, at times. I'm Inuk first. And Canadian is secondary to me. I was born in Inuk, and I will always be an Inuk. And being Canadian is just happens to be where the newcomers came and turned it into Canada. So I will always be Inuk first. Yes.
I was going to ask, as I understand, as well as being Premier, you also have a justice portfolio, is that correct?
Yes.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about, well, first of all, how you managed to do that, to balance the portfolio and be Premier, but also tell us a bit about your role as Justice Minister.
Mm-hmm. Yes. When we first started, it was a real challenge just trying to get the government operational. So I just assumed the premiership at the outset. But since then, I've had to assume a number of portfolios. I've been the Minister of Culture, Language, Elders and Youth for a few months. And I was Minister of Education, the largest portfolio in the government for a few months. So after those stints, I realized that after things had settled down, that I could do another portfolio. And I justice being a lawyer for a little while. And I was really interested in it. And one of the problems that you face is that once you become Premier, you can't really do other work. So I might as well put my legal training to work by being Justice Minister. So, well, there's always things you want in the land clearing agreement that you will likely never get. So, but being a public government has its advantages. You draw support from everyone, and I represent this riding, and my constituents are a mixture of Inuit and non-Inuit and Francophone. So I'm very proud of that I had their support in seeking office. and I talk to them and represent them. And so it really helps in terms of not creating any tension between Inuit and non-Inuit by having a public government. Is that you're representing everyone, and you're trying to help, your role is to try and help everyone. So I don't see a real problem with public government. Maybe in the future, when maybe Inuit become minority, if that happens, then future Inuit may want to seek their own separate government and identity. But to date, we have tried to reflect their population by pushing for stronger cultural and language programs in the territory for Inuit. But for the land claim, yes, we wanted more. And but in order to get a land claim agreement, you need to get the other party to agree, and that's what we had to deal with. Like if we could get more fish in our own territory, yes, definitely. We've tried, and it's now before the Supreme Court of Canada for that matter. As an interpretation of the agreement. So I'm sure that in retrospect, we'll continue to say we should have fought harder for this and that. Yes?
Is there anything that you would like Southern Canadians to know about Nunavut that you don't think they know right now?
I think I mentioned the main points is that we want to be Canadian. We want the same benefits and fruits of being Canadian. And we need the help of Canada to get there. And I think that's the main message that I've been trying to relate to Southern Canada. And we'll continue to do so. Yes.
I think moving on that exact point, we've heard from many people that there's a really delicate balance between promoting further economic development, creating sustainable development, and creating the kind of economic environment here that can support people, that can provide employment, while at the same time working to not only maintain but increase the kind of traditional cultural heritage that makes Inuit people different and special and unique amongst themselves and have cultural roots. How do you think that that's going to play out, and what role do you see yourself in a leadership position in trying to maintain that balance as we come further and further to deal with the issues that line development?
Yeah, I've worked in a mine before. I'm still an Inuk, so I'm a lawyer by profession. I'm an Inuk. So those are things that individuals face. I'm very proud of it, and I teach my children their roots. So I think those are very personal, but at the same time, government has a role in ensuring that the rest of the population learns about our culture and our language. And we teach Inuit in their classes, and we're continuing to develop further curricula in the classroom for Inuit. So in that way, we're going to keep that going. We also have a separate department called Culture, Language, Elders, and Youth. So we have a designated department that is constantly looking for ways to train younger Inuit of their culture. So we're going to continue to do that. So, but these young people also need employment opportunities, and we have to move beyond what we have now. As I said, we have 2 million square kilometers of land, the largest jurisdiction in the country. So we have a lot of land to cover and to be able to develop and take advantage of for our future generations to benefit from. We have diamonds and we have gold. People want those products. So we want to take advantage of that market and create employment opportunities for our residents.
Despite how the stock markets are going with high-tech companies tech is very much the wave of the future, and Canada is very proud of saying we are the most connected country in the world. But one of the other people we were speaking with said only 6 of your 28 communities have internet access. So I'm wondering if you're getting a lot of cooperation from the federal government to improve internet access and to bring high tech north.
Yes, this again draws on our isolation from the rest of the country. We're kilometers, 26 communities within that. So it's a real challenge. And no fiber optics. All our internet access is by satellite for the entire territory. So that has its limits. And there's some communities that are connected. Some they're like most of them are through the school, but it'll take a while. What we're trying to do as a government is introduce additional technologies like telehealth. We want to be able to connect every community in our territory to telehealth so that diagnosis can be made from anywhere in any of the communities by a doctor. And we've invested money as a government, and we're still waiting for the federal government to put in their share, so they can boast about that too. Okay, anything? Yes? Okay.
I guess I have, might be more personal questions, but I guess you're fairly young, and I know you're, sorry. Your culture seems to have there's a lot of respect given to elders, and certainly within the legislature we're looking at, there are a lot of older people within that room than you, and yet you were elected as the premier. Do you feel a lot of pressure in that circumstance?
No. No, I was elected. I ran for office, and there's no prerequisites for seeking office. And I ran on my record, and I got elected. But I also have to represent everyone. And wherever I go, I make a point of meeting with the elders in the community and seeking their advice on what they would like to see from their government. Our culture is that we seek the opinions of the elders, and you don't really have to follow it, but you feel obligated to do so because it's their wish. So that's a part of our culture, and I try and follow that.
I was wondering if you could comment on, we've been talking about economic development. Is it your opinion that Nunavut can be self-sustainable within, like, what amount of time, even an optimistic forecast, you say within, you could envision a Nunavut that's self-sufficient economically in 50 years?
Well, we stated in the Bathurst mandate, which is the main document that we rely upon, that we would like to be like any Canadian in 20 years. So in 2020, that's our goal. But in order for us to get there, we have to be treated like Canadians. So that was our main point. Is that if we are treated like any Canadian, given the same opportunities like any Canadian in the past, we can do quite well. And I explained this to the Prime Minister a number of times, and hopefully we'll be able to get there. We envy the rest of Canada in terms of their socioeconomic statistics, and we like to get there. Before contact with Europeans, we were self-sufficient, and we want to be able to get there again.
To that of other premiers, or is there a special relationship due to the newness of the territory? Do you speak by phone or at special meetings that you have in Ottawa or here? What would be the nature of that relationship?
It has been, like I've never had to meet with prime ministers before, but it's been nice. Like the prime minister's come here twice since our creation, and it's been a positive relationship. But it's not just the prime minister that governs the rest of Canada, so he has to work with other parties, and so that's the struggle. He has to balance the national interest in trying to accommodate everyone. So I sometimes understand where he's coming from. So, so it's been like very cordial, and he's very interested in the North. He likes visiting my hometown because he created a national park there. So I'm very proud, very proud of him. Likewise, the feeling is mutual. Yes.
You spoke a little bit about self-sufficiency and how before contact the Inuit were self-sufficient. They could live in the North and they didn't need inputs from outside the North. Is it possible, I guess my question is it possible for the Inuit to be self-sufficient given the quality, or given the lifestyle that has started to be adopted? I mean, I guess just, talking about the expense of building materials or the distances that are being communicated across now or traveled across. Is it possible for the Inuit to be self-sufficient in the way they were in the past, that they didn't need outside input?
Well, Inuit are very proud, and they want to be back to where they were self-sufficient, and we'd like to be able to do that. But in order to be self-sufficient, a person has to be educated, be able to take on jobs today. So in the past, they had their own jobs, like supporting their families, hunting, whether they be sewing, or assuming other responsibilities. Those type of jobs, some are still there. So people still hunt for food. People still make products out of the animals that we harvest. So, but those jobs are few. And we have a growing population, so we're trying to get our residents educated as much as we can, and trying to open up our territory for more investment, whether it be in the renewable resource or non-renewable resource. So our role as a government is to try and help all the Inuit and all the people in the territory to be able to take those on, and maybe we'll get there. Maybe we won't. Like, not everybody will be self-sufficient. Like any place in the world, there'll always be people that don't have employment opportunities, that may not be able to take on employment opportunities. So I can't say we'll ever get there.
We have time.
You had a chance when you met Mr. Kinsey to raise the differences in the North and the problems that some legislation in the federal government have done could create problems in the North. Such as I'm thinking quickly the gun control and the legislation about protecting the environment, for example. Have you had a chance to personally talk to him and discuss about that, and what was his reaction?
Well, we have a number of things to deal with the federal government. Gun control is one of them, and like housing is one of them. So there's ongoing issues that we have to deal with the federal government. Like the Prime Minister was very receptive to the idea of supporting us in terms of social housing, for example. Hopefully that will be honored through this one speech that he made. I explained to him that I was the first generation of people that got an education in my own family. My parents didn't speak English, didn't have the benefit of education. So it takes a little while longer for us to be able to buy our own houses for our residents. And he was very receptive to the idea of helping us out. So I think that's sort of reflected in the throne speech, that Aboriginal peoples should be supported by the federal government. So I think we made a bit of difference there. In terms of gun control, we're before the courts on the matter. Culture, hunting is very much a part of our culture. I shot my first caribou and seal when I was 8 years old, and I'm very proud of it. And I'd like future Inuit in our territory to have that benefit. We have feasts to celebrate our first kill of big game, and those will continue. But to make criminals out of us for exercising our right to hunt does not help. So I'm sure we'll continue to deal with this through the courts.
Well, there are no more questions. On behalf of all of us, just really like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak to us. I know that this trip has been really extraordinary for us, a steep learning curve to begin with, but it's something I think more people in the South should do. So thank you very much. And just as a symbol of our appreciation, we have a pin for you that has on it the symbol of our program, the Library of Parliament. So we'd just like to thank you very much.
Thank you. I've seen this many times. You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay.
Qanigilan.
Teko elinereersama yugavam qanu unikkautiqqauvigi.
Apassuartorsamummata qanu piusaqammagaata aperssuluartutamma simunissatinnne qanuilinga yumammagaata apequssaqauluyaqqaumata kiunisoqqaujak.
Ajornartuni kiugarnartuni or kiunasortuarnartuni apersoqqauj.
Ilanginnila qanu narunanga qanu piusaqalaamagaata simunittini teema kiunisukkaluartugi uqallari pisangumma qanu piusaqallarilaamagaata simunittini.
Ikoilin tamaungarsimayu qimequariartorsimayu nunavuk governmangani elinniaqiartu tukisikkanniariartu qanuiliorti.
Koilinniarsimayu ilangi ima ilinniavi piarsimayu gammalernermu qima uluartun ima silatittini gammani eqqanajarpattun ima ikajortutinerwartausimayuni teema namilima Canada mingaartutik qawitigiarahammigattikku qanupijumammangaata ikajortigunnarmigattikku simunittin eqqanajaangigun ilaaluni namminu ikajornigi.
Teema qai pilereanikkuti qimequnaannikkuti ikayuutiqarniarafun nunavuk governmanganu.
Qawi kannittiluaqqata qanupijumammangaarta amma unikkaarunartutiluangijoqqaaminu taunni uteqqataqallunaanut ammalo amisunu peqanneriaqassuummata koilinniartimininginni unikkaarunartuti ilagijaminnullu teema kikkutuinarni unikkaa akaunaartoqaamma unikkaarasuppakkama ikajorrunnarnga tawattinni
Qayannami.
ilaali.
And what school have you done?
My name is Jackie Steele, and I'm from the suburbs of Vancouver in British Columbia. And I studied at McGill University in political science and East Asian studies.
What have you learned since you came to the north and look at the Nunavut government?
I think one of the main things that we've all learned when we came here is the importance of IQ, or the Inuit Kayu Mayutukagik, which is something that is very different from the other governments in the rest of Canada, is this special attention to the culture, the local culture and the local language, and making sure that that is reflected in the government practices. I think that's been really, really different and really one of the most interesting parts I find.
So is there differences between the Europe, USA, provincial level and Nunavut government? Do you see any difference there?
I think the government is very close to the people. We really get a sense that the people who are elected, they really want to work for the people, but they also feel a real solidarity with the people who they represent, which can be sometimes lost in other governments. And it's you're an elected member and you forget who you're working for, and maybe there's more distance, but it seems very close to the people here in Nunavut.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
We're going to start off our evening with a throat singing performance by a group of very talented young ladies. They come from our little town of Rankin Inlet and have learned to throat sing by watching the elders. Please give a warm round of applause for Margaret Sharp, Amy and Susan Hicks. The beautiful beaded amounties that the girls are wearing are made by Elder Jenny Tutu and Jessica Luchak of Rankin Inlet. Halakit. Please join me in welcoming the visiting teams. Sibulat Panguluni, Melanie, Itapitinaman, Kamani. First, we have Melanie, leading in Team Baker Lake. Special, leading Team Coral Harbor, Sunlit. Pamela, leading Team Hall Beach, Sunnyvale. Sharon, leading Team Repulse Bay, Nadia. Kakunay Halakit, ang nakulit o Canada na inyong naptut. Now I'd like to invite a group of very special young girls to come onto the ice. The Rankin Inlet Sparks, Brownies, Girl Guides, and Pathfinders. They will be singing the Canadian National Anthem for us a little later on. Come on the ice, girls.
I think that by the end of the weekend, we'll see that they're doing all-stars in the tournament. To the coaches and to the players, once again, winners and draws, just hopefully they can take the experience the way that you were part of the first ever junior tournament in the North. It should be a big honor for all of you, and I hope that you treat it as such. So best of luck to everybody in the tournament, and I look forward to watching some good hockey.
Nunavut, si Catherine Arawami, Maligaleo, Big Germany, Member of Parliament for Nunavut, Nancy Karakap-Lindell. those going up to the Namita, everybody has not to go there after police, and you be guys at the Kalina police, and to all the staff of the other police. I'm truly honored to be here to be at the arena. Most of you know that our name is almost synonymous with hockey and Nunavut, and I've seen some of you from the time you were kites and pee-wee, some of you have stayed at our house, and this is all what we've been working for. Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to thank you for allowing us this opportunity to host this for something Rankin Inlet. We're all very proud of our team from Rankin, as well as all the other teams that are coming from across from Nunavut. Everybody, kaya namin ako sila sa mga kamalo na dyan, kapag sa kaya around akin po na ako na iti-tube ko ako. Pag-wala ko ako, sabi around kami ako na ituloy ito. Jadi kayo sa namin pinag-iintigan pero nalaw mata. Ikayo ko nalaw ako yung tanong dyan kinamit sa ako sa nalaw. Hindi ko pinag-iintigan. Kaya namin.
I'm now ready for Rankin South and Well Pools, Manito Thompson.
Kaya namin, Pagmamakan sa mga pinasyak sa mga lalo ko, yalibot ang malusaw, pinag-iintigan na puso, pinag-iintigan na puso. At sa na may sinalaman nito, tapos na sinakatan na madami sa ko nga, kisalawa mga 500 nito na itikit nila sa kalamat. Taman na sa kami nagsiyaman ang malutaw, kahit sinang mayo ko, yung nanak sa magalong matayin, yung narolang ito, tiging makuha, at sa mayo nakakalo, at tiging ito sa makuha, at sa mayo magalong matayin, kahit sinang mayo, Piyo ko na yakangan sa ibani kusya sa may mga lokatang magasina tuwin niya kuya namin sa katay pa pinalaw tuwin ang marunong nga susya kasi sa ikaw sa mga sikisi mayo ninong likat na katao lang niya kasi kung nasusya na ako sa susya na ako sa iyo haki ako sa mayo sa mga kuya sa kasikisya kasi just like to say on behalf of the Rankin people that we're glad that you're here. The residents will be coming out to enjoy the show and we'll put on a good show. I'd like to wish every success to all the teams and play
Paul Kaluta.
Kaya namin, unang good. Siyang na, happy ako tumayo. Ngayon ka mayor, at wala, happy tuyin. Ang magkatimayo mo, sinabi mo, magigalak mo. Ang matamanin nito kasi yung net, yung nasikiwan kami. Kasi ninahuntok, iwan doon. Ang makanan siya, hagi dapat kaya niyo, takoy, hindi na rin lang kokok tunik. Hagi niyo, niya ka naman at hindi na rin lang. Unang ko rin na, kaya niya ko rin, yung hagi iwan doon rin, dapat kalong, tamanin. Kayo ka tayo, kaya namin yung hagi. Kami kami senang mereka yang berkata itu kami dapat dihidup oleh namanya tahu. On behalf of the Ibadah Association, welcome to Rankin delegates, rewarded delegated to the Mano Hockey Committee.
we have the captain for Rankin Inlet come up? Team Rankin. Rest of the team will come up.
Walk away. Can you do that again? Back. Well, I'll get
The person we're going to call over, team Iqaluit, we have the captain come up first, please. Captain Bilal Alawi. You can smile. Do we have Team Iqaluit in line to pick up their trophies?
How close?
We'll just stop down there. The first one is Jim Ramsey. Come on up for color on Jim Ramsey. Oh, I just look at me. Hey, ang mga kama sa kata, Jim McDonald. Jim McDonald. Ako si Mang Madela. I'm sure I will not talk to my official attack for.
Okay, then tayo mga siguro pa matamang si communication mo nila pa pakaya to simula dito si.
Tayo sa Manila kani tamang mga katawag si makalwa kama. Tako hakat tibut. Biar na mo kayo sila sa mga kangas na pasakto ro sa mga. Manali sila tawte kro kani tapong ako nakawata. Hakit ya tuwa yugut amaro. Tako pingwati bunila kanong mayutay katarong mayutay. Tayo mga pingwa nga misang itipaliyangin ng mata. Takun na dakaw isu di sini makau mata pingwal lagat ya tayo mga lima sibulak pa makasakano isu maaraw ko yung makok to pingwa kaya nga sa tarorok sa magata. Kasi ano kulalilaw minata kunangin nibu tauruk lugammo taakko sinik sagai paksudik takasak paksudik negetiat tikasuk paksudik guru ammaro makunungan nakatla guru yang negetiat nasugitai mga piti nagatik umakik tungin netiat sauning ane akaro kisiani anna umakin nakakit ammaro taakko coach ngati yakka ko singa toktamin netiat lakak pingo hatamata ningaro taili nasudik lo taman na pidyo tigil ko piyo yung mga taurok kita ko yung hakit ya mga araw ka umata.
Nagsimula pa kami kung sakatakat sa dito pagkakayang kung sakatakat sa dito kanong kaya isa mo nagsakatakawa sa unang pinakatakwa kanong kaya pinasakawa.
Taman na coach ka daw katak sa mga po tibiyo nga aso na kuwenang ito kasi isa man na siya mana akin yato ko isang tinato ko liman na isa man na siya man itak tibiyo ko ro ano talat tayo dito ko ta kaping wato itak tibiyo ko ro ka puwi ko itak tayo ko ro ka kasi pingana liman na yo kata tan sangi yung mga usung matay man isa magilawas ko itak tayo kata rason katak pala na sa mga puwi ko sa ulit katas ko kasi ano nung taping nga kaya makalasan akilig siya yakso na siya akilig siya kasi ngasan tayo may lakit to.
Ay matulog pa katakalaw mo kaya kaya sabihin mo tayo naman nakalawin kaya aksyon na sura pa so kaya matulog pa katingin.
Kagasan na may pinguat yung makaroit daw ayong itong makaroit. Kasi kangan sa araw tayo naksuto kasi pinguat kawat sa araw ujat tulo akasok kawang ikutay makasaraw ko yakkaw yung kangan si kuting na sayawin na kasok tuta pinguan itinik dahil man nakasarak sa nakikasok yung atanok tayo liluta dahil man nilakaw yung.
Kaya sulit kami mami matataman na tayo man napingwa katang kanuli kaya tawag sulit sa mga kawag sa kanila.
Tamak ko ukto katanya tulo ukto katarog lid pinasiyok sa katalo dig lamaro aulat ti kangam aulat ti mininarat ti katalo dig amaro taman na atong nilong gasong ni merong nilong na kanya anak tunig tamat mo nga pingwa ko mo atong ngiti mga atok tayo dilyo ti tamak ko nga katta ko jigaro atong amaro mikiyo garo ako bit ang iyo garo ako bit pingwa ko na to ako pingwa na sangi yung bakayo na sa iyo tay ko pingwa tanere kata pingwa ka hatta kulla hatta takata man na ito kipingwa yaw ti mga amaro inusang mo isa matyan ng mga aksyon ila ko yan namin ako mayong makatay ko kanong may kakitarang may pilawat na may uwat ni kayo tulak sa may kinaw yan tamang ako na dawat kasi na kinaw yan awrad lito tay ko kakitarang ko pre sa kulo tak ko hakat tulo kayo kanong naman ng hake tamak ko ikayul laking matakisiyan tamang ako na kayo tarong ko tamang ako na kaya raw mite ko ayun namin
Congratulations.
ila ayun namin